The envelope. The best picture of the year is My Fair Lady, Jack and Warner.
Welcome back to The Better Half. I'm Bradley J. Halverson, and here with me, of course, she's my fair lady. It's Carly Corio. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Brad.
Carly, imagine me, a man, teaching you how to be a lady one day. Would you like that?
No. Not one bit. I don't think you would like that either. So we're good.
No, absolutely not. No. But I am excited, Carly, for this episode, for this podcast.
Why?
Because, we're here to talk about My Fair Lady.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like, as I was digging deeper into it, I felt like there was all these connections, these other films, things that the director has done. Feels like we've been building to this moment. And of course, My Fair Lady is recognizable even to me as somebody who hates musicals.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly.
Yeah. Stated podcast lore, I hate musicals. But yeah, I just got to thinking like, okay, this was directed by George Cukor. He directed Little Women, which lost to Cavalcade. He directed Gaslight, short for Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girl Boss, which lost to Going My Way. I think there's major overlap with Gigi, which we've already covered.
Yep.
I feel like there's even a little bit of overlap with Oliver just because of the setting and
the musical vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're almost saying that our podcast has appropriately built up to this moment. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Like, I don't know if our listeners, the Better Halfers, know this, but when we decide our next movie, we spin a wheel and it gives us two options. We pick from that. So it's almost like this wheel is intentionally bringing us through this journey.
Yeah.
An intentional journey. And we couldn't be more thankful.
Another example that we have is the fact that, we tackled all three of Shirley MacLaine's best pictures. We did them in chronological order from when she first appeared to when she last appeared in these films. So yeah, I think the podcast gods want us to have good content and tell things in a particular way. So
amen.
The last connection I saw too is, this is based off a stage musical, which is then based off of a stage play called Pygmalion, which was also a Best Picture nominee that lost to You Can't Take It With You. So I just feel like, there's echoes of this story throughout time. I also just learned, and this might be in your notes too, Carly, that the 1999 movie She's All That is a retelling.
Brad, I wish you wouldn't have done that because I was going to say that. But yes, you're so right. The whole time I'm thinking, oh, this is like She's All That. And I wonder if anywhere on the internet, I can find that. And so, yes, I did find that and I'll bring it up later. But yes, I love that you brought that up because 100%. And I mean, there's a lot of makeover kind of movies out there that I think are lightly based on this Pygmalion story, for sure.
Yeah. It feels like a juggernaut, and I hope we do it justice today on The Better Half. It's also, in terms of runtime, it's our second longest film that we have tackled thus far. The longest still being Around the World in 80 Days, only by a few minutes even. So
yeah, I had to break this one up a little. It was not a one-time sit downer for me. I broke it up into two pieces. Yeah, mostly because I fell asleep. I'm tired, I am.
I am not going to be able to do it. So yeah, please.
I will. I will take on the speech.
Yeah, just to restate it again, we're here to talk about My Fair Lady, released in 1964, directed by George Cukor. It won Best Picture at the 37th Academy Awards, which took place on April 5th, 1965. And Carly, hit us with that short synopsis, if you will.
I'll hit you, I will. Okay, I'm just kidding. Here you go. My Fair Lady tells the story of Eliza Doolittle, a poor London flower seller who is taken in by Professor Henry Higgins, a linguistics expert, who believes he can transform her into a proper lady through speech and etiquette lessons.
Love. My Fair Lady, starring Audrey Hepburn in the title role, perhaps controversially so. We'll get into it. And the male lead, Professor Higgins, here played by a guy named Rex.
Yeah.
Never heard of him. That's a real name. Rex Harrison. So yeah, let's dive in, right?
Let's dive in, right?
Okay. So as we get started with the film, we're treated to about 3.5 minute long, just up close shots of flowers, followed by the title credits. It is kind of beautiful looking, but it's a little okay, this is how you know the movie should not be 3 hours long.
I did clock it. It was 3 minutes and 24 seconds straight of just flowers. A flower slideshow.
Ooh. And we're greeted. It's nighttime, and rich people are finishing up a party here. They're heading out onto the street. It's pouring down, raining. And like half the cast is like here in this opening scene. So we're going to briefly meet Freddie and his mom. There's a lot of rich boys and their mothers in this movie, actually. But, you know, Freddie at one point, he's like trying to hail down a taxi. And as he walks out into the street, he's going to bump into our leading lady here and Miss Eliza Doolittle, played by Audrey Hepburn, who drops her like flowers. And she's all mad because she dropped the flowers onto the street and it's wet and raining and whatever. And her plan is to try to sell these flowers on the side to these rich people as they're waiting for taxis or waiting for their rides or whatever. So Eliza, she's somebody who clearly from like lower income. She's like dirty, her hair is like all over the place, and she makes her living by just like selling flowers, like as a street vendor almost.
Slinging flowers. Yeah. I did not think this was Audrey Hepburn at first.
No. Yeah.
I was like, that's not Audrey Hepburn. We must be getting to her. And like, it was not until they called her Eliza, because I knew that was the character's name. And I was like, that is Audrey Hepburn. It floored me. And I mean, it just goes to show how, I mean, I just expected her to be in that like slicked hairdo that we see her in that famous little black dress with that long thing in her hand. Like, that's the only thing I know Audrey Hepburn of. But she really transformed herself. And by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, that's Audrey Hepburn. So the way that they transformed her, like makeup and just her overall look was really cool, because she did not look like herself.
I'll start with this. Like, what an incredible performance. Like, the voice work she had to do here, like, because she has this like thick Cockney, you know, British accent. It's very rough sounding. I know. I wrote, thank God for subtitles, because it's hard to even understand. It was so Cockney, like, yes, exactly. Like. And it's obviously a huge part, her language and how she sounds is a huge part of the movie and the plot. But yeah, like you said, Carly, just like unrecognizable, and it's very, which makes it like cooler. It's like, oh, cool. Like her range that she has as an actor and a performer, it's so well done. Yeah. And so she's, you know, hanging out with the rich people who are all like trying to ignore her, of course. She does talk to an old man named Pickering, who does kind of toss her like a coin. And another little guy comes up to her and he's like, hey, just letting you know, like around this pillar here, like this other old man is like writing down everything that you're saying, which makes her go, ah! Yeah, actually, that's the actual sound she made. Anytime she didn't like anything. And so she starts panicking because like she and the other people there, they think this guy is a cop, and really it's Professor Higgins, who we're about to be introduced to, but he is kind of dressed like a cop. And so she's worried she's about to get like written up for like solicitation for like selling flowers, right? Like, and so Higgins comes in very, you know, pompous sort of air, this like very entitled, like, oh, and he's like walking around and people are questioning like, who is he? And like, what are you writing in your little notebook there? And he basically just goes around and tells everybody where they're from. Like, oh yeah, he's like, you're from here, and you, sir, you're like from India, says to this white guy. And he's like, you're right. And I've seen people on like TikTok doing this. Like, it's still a thing that people can do. Really? And it's really impressive. Yeah. So people are like, how can you do that? Like, what are you, some sort of magician? And he's like, no, I'm obviously a linguistics expert. Obviously. Yeah. And he's like, you can tell where anybody is from based on how they talk. And so this is where he gets up on his soapbox, and we get introduced to the first little musical number. And I will say, when it comes to Higgins singing, he's just like talking. Yeah. And you wouldn't otherwise know he's singing, but the subtitles put the little music notes next to his words. And I'm like, oh, we're in song now. It was actually noted that he like made this like type of sing song famous, like this this like talking song that he like really brought it to the forefront with this role in this movie. So. But yeah, it was really impressive. And you had said, Brad, it made it, and I enjoy musicals and I like musicals, but it definitely made the music seem less music-y and more like part of the story. So I enjoyed it. The song is like, why can't the English? And so he's kind of laying out who he is as a character and like what we're supposed to take away from Higgins. And it's along the lines of like, basically how you speak and how well you can speak English like really determines your place in life. And using sort of Eliza as like an example here of, you know, the way that she speaks English really like determines the fact that like, oh, you can assume a lot of things based on how she talks. There was a point in this song where he said that a lot of people don't speak it right anymore, and he said America doesn't speak it at all. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? That's literally all we speak. Rex.
Yeah, Rex, what are you
Rex,
talking
please.
about?
Higgins is an interesting character. I will say, for the most part, I don't like him as a character. Like, I do think what he's saying is like correct. I do think that like there is a lot of like judgment people will hold based on how you talk and the certain vernacular. You know, people will assume things about your education level based on how you speak, and I think these are very real things that he's laying out here. But Higgins is like a rich man himself that we're going to come to learn, but you don't get a sense that he's like trying to challenge these notions. Like he's just kind of pointing them out, and he seems to take a lot of pride in sort of telling other people how the world works. And I don't know, Higgins has a big ego, and so like to me this is a whole big sort of ego sort of introduction as to like I know best, I know language, and he's using Eliza as sort of like a punchline of sorts of like, take this woman. He's like, wow, you know, give me some time with her and I can make her the next Queen of Sheba. You know, I'll take her to the embassy ball and pass her off as royalty. And ha ha ha, ha, you know, like while laughing. And everyone else is like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and he's never wrong in his opinion, ever.
Right.
Like,
Never.
even when he does get like emotional, almost mean, like he's always, like he never admits he's wrong. He's just always like okay with what he does, and he makes moving forward just makes it okay.
Yeah, he's very stubborn. And we mentioned Pickering already. He's another sort of old rich guy, and he was like, wait a minute, you know, your name is Higgins? He's like, I came all the way from India to meet you. And Higgins is like, wait, I was about to head to India to meet you.
Yeah,
and so and here's my other like theory, tinfoil hat. Higgins is gay as fuck, and him and Pickering are in a domestic partnership because they go hand in hand, arm in arm, mouth to mouth, and they like head off the scene. They're like, come back to my house. And we never see Pickering. Pickering basically moves in with him, and we never see Pickering anywhere else but fully living with Higgins.
Yeah. And they're always just hanging out drinking. That's all they're ever doing.
Yeah. Yep. They're supposedly two, you know, intentional bachelors here. Like, they're never going to take a wife or whatever. But to me, all that just screams gay. So they kind of all head off screen. Freddie and his mom, they get their taxi or whatever. They're not even really a big part of this story until later. And then Eliza kind of heads off on her own. The rain has stopped, and we're kind of seeing her sort of natural environment, this like stretch of road. And this is based off of a musical, like a stage musical. And I will say that the direction and the cinematography, like, very much feels like you're watching a stage play. Just like the sets feel very static.
Yeah.
The film also does. It happens at a couple moments, but like a ton of extras will head out onto the scene and then like freeze frame.
I thought it was so cool. I don't know what your like general thought was, but yeah, whenever they did it, especially the bigger scenes later when they do it, I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah. It feels very much like the curtains are about to come open, right? And then the folks, you know, become unfrozen and the scene starts. But you can just imagine the directors off screen yelling action, and then they start moving. But yeah, it very intentionally just like holds this frozen, paused moment, which I thought was cool. But
well, and this one was cool because like a fourth of it's like basically a street scene. So like a fourth of the people came in and stopped, and then like another fourth came in and stopped, and it was like just slowly but surely all came in and stopped, and then they were all paused, and it was like nobody even blinked. Like you can tell the director was like, be still. And then all of a sudden, like on cue, they all started moving, and it was so cool to me.
No, really liked it. Really, really stood out to me. And so we really see Eliza in her element, and she gets her first musical number, which I'm sure was sung in her own voice.
No,
it wasn't.
It wasn't. Audrey Hepburn was dubbed the whole movie except for maybe a couple parts, and it was a big controversy, but just know that she got the tie to Oliver, whereas the main character did not do their own singing.
Yeah.
Eliza Doolittle, Oliver Twist, and Troy Bolton famously did not do their own singing in their movies.
It's been a while since we had a High School Musical reference, so thank you, Carly, for bringing that back.
I actually have another one to bring up later.
Her first song here, and it's
Wouldn't It Be Loverly?
Leverly, which is an interesting title because, again, a play on sort of like broken English, right? We're getting the sense that Eliza, she has dreams and aspirations and ambitions in life. She doesn't want to just sell flowers off of the street like this. She wants to be a lady selling flowers in a flower shop, you know? And
yeah, she's basically like saying how nice it would be to have a better life.
Yes.
I have seen this show, I will say, on stage on the traveling tour of this show. And this was always like one of my favorite takeaways was this song.
And the next day, we're going to get introduced to Eliza's dad here, Alfred P. Doolittle, who's just as like dirty, like
an even deeper Cockney accent than Eliza.
So rough.
He's, oh my God, he's wild.
I'm not a fan of this dad. I wrote my notes, bad dad. I just did not like him. And he's like on the hunt for Eliza, and he's got his like two buds who are always following behind him wherever he goes. And he eventually finds her and is quick to be like, I need some money. Like, he basically uses Eliza and like the few earnings that she does make from selling flowers. Her dad is there, greedy as ever, to like take it so that he can go out drinking. And he's like, if you don't give me money now, I'll have to marry your stepmom. And
he kept saying that, like, I gotta marry your stepmom. I'm like, she's
you're
not her
so right.
stepmom yet if you're not married. Like, what is going on?
And Eliza is like a lot of like, ah, but then she does eventually.
Give him money. Yeah.
We really get introduced to his character right away with this interaction. And so after the dad leaves to go drink and spend this money immediately, Eliza has a moment of kind of just like wandering off. And she's like over by the stone pillar where, you know, she just had that interaction the night before with Higgins. And she's like literally recalling in her own mind, like the words he was saying about like, I could teach her how to speak English. Like I could pass her off as royalty at the embassy ball. So she makes a decision. She's like, I'm going to go get lessons from Higgins. Like I'm going to go do this for myself. And so she heads off to Higgins' place. And again, he is a rich guy with about 15 to 20 servants, housekeepers.
Yeah.
And the head lady, kind of a queen, but her name is Mrs. Pierce, who's definitely a supporting character here. But
you get the feeling on like a stage that she's like the comic relief, like always like that punchy side character that has these one-liners.
So, you know, we're going to get these 4 characters all inside Higgins' home. It's, you know, Higgins, Pickering is there as always as his gay lover, and Mrs. Pierce is there as well. And so Eliza storms in there and makes her request pretty clear. She was like, I want lessons from you. You know, I'll pay for this. I'll give you a shilling, nothing more than that. And Higgins really is like the epitome of sort of like a bored rich guy.
Yeah.
Because at first he's like hand waving her away. He's like, no. I don't got time for that. Like, go somewhere else. And it's not until Pickering stands up, his gay lover. Pickering is like, listen, I'll pay for these lessons, Higgins. Like, let's make it a bet. And now suddenly it's like the rich guys in Around the World in 80 Days that are just like bored and just making bets.
Oh, fine. If there's money involved. Eliza was going to pay and he had no interest. But now Pickering, his lover, was like, oh, what if I pay? And he's like, that's hot.
And she's initially like appreciative of Pickering for offering this because he's going to help buy her clothes and everything. But as soon as like Higgins is like interested, he's like, okay, great. He's like, Mrs. Pierce, you're going to take her upstairs. You're going to live with me for 6 months and you better get this down right. Otherwise, like the king's going to swoop in and off with your head if you don't get all this right. And Eliza's, at least at this stage of the movie, I think she is a little bit naive, a little bit like take things like literal. And Higgins is very sarcastic. And he's like hearing like, oh, like, you know, take off all those clothes. Like Mrs. Pierce burn those clothes, whatever. He's got all these demands. That makes Eliza be like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. I wrote down what he said to Mrs. Pierce because she was like filthy too. And he's like,
yes.
He's like, you need to go take a bath, take all your clothes off. He said, Mrs. Pierce, wipe her with sandpaper, burn her clothes, and wrap her in brown paper until her new clothes come. Again, I think this is when Eliza's like, hold the phone, actually.
Hey, you old fuck.
Yes. And then I think she does leave. I think she goes with Mrs. Pierce stunned. But then Pickering says, does it occur to you, Higgins, that the girl has some feelings? And Higgins says, I don't think so. No feelings we need to worry about. So it just is setting up this initial, you know, emotion by all the parties around for this kind of deal.
This relationship between Higgins and Eliza is the most fascinating and intriguing for me. And certainly when we get to the end of the film, this is where I thought a lot about, because it really is like the center of the entire movie is the relationship between Higgins. And I'm not even talking about like romantic relationship, but just the relationship in general, because Higgins is such a jerk and he's such an asshole here in the beginning. And I would argue that doesn't really change, but certainly there is a bit of a trajectory that these two characters are going on. So he has Mrs. Pierce take her upstairs to a bath. And I guess she's never taken a bath in her life because she's like, well, I'm supposed to like get in there and get all wet. And Mrs. Pierce literally like bars the bathroom door. She's got 2 women in there with her and they're literally like, take off your clothes. And she proceeds to scream.
I said Eliza assaulted into the tub. Like, this scene would not be okay in today's world.
Because we cut to the 2 men downstairs and you can just hear her.
Yes.
And you're right. This is where Pickering like has like some, and Mrs. Pierce pipes up too at several points about like, this is irresponsible of you, Higgins. Like, what are you doing? And Pickering, when it's just Pickering and Higgins at this point, and you know, Eliza's up there screaming in the bath, but Pickering like looks at Higgins and he's like, hey, like, you know, she's a young woman. Like, are you the sort of man who's going to be like honorable about this? Like, are you a good natured man? And Higgins like scoffs at this, and which leads into his like again, speaking song called like I'm an Ordinary Man,
Yeah.
where he basically lays out that he hates women, like all women. He basically says like they ruin, like as soon as you let a woman into your life, they will ruin everything for a man. You suddenly have to make all these sacrifices, all these compromises. Your independence is threatened. Just this very surface level sort of misogyny.
Can I read a couple of the lyrics from the song?
Please.
Okay. So the first lyric I wrote down was let a woman in your life and invite eternal strife. That was one. My favorite. I'd be equally as willing for a dentist to be drilling than to ever let a woman in my life. And then it ends, the last line of the song is, I shall never let a woman in my life. So that's literally the whole song. Are cute rhymes about how women are terrible.
Yeah, he reeks of somebody who got like dumped by a girl in high school and has never gotten over it 50 years later. Like he definitely has some conscious bias here. I wouldn't even say it's unconscious bias. It is just like clear present bias against women and just making assumptions of them and viewing them as less than and just some sort of hindrance to his life. And he wouldn't otherwise be doing any of this with Eliza if there wasn't this sort of like bet with Pickering, or if another man hadn't sort of pushed him into it, he wouldn't otherwise be doing this. And he's just doing it because he's just bored. Like he's just a rich person who just wants to see what happens, and he wants to do it again to stroke his own ego, to see if he can actually pull this off. Could he actually get someone like Eliza to speak properly and go to this embassy ball and trick people into thinking that she's something that she's not?
Yeah. The amount that Eliza's character arc and growth depends on how Higgins feels about her is really a big part of the movie, but it's devastating to watch because you're like, Eliza, stop it.
Yeah. On paper, the premise of this is like, it just doesn't, I don't know if it holds up well in 2026 of just like, who are Pickering and Higgins, two men, going to teach her how to speak English in a way that they think is socially acceptable. Yeah. And then also be teaching her manners and present herself as a lady. Again, like we saw some of this with like Gigi, where this was less about like men, and at least she had like female mentors going through this process with her. But it was still very much like, here's how men expect you to behave. And so in Gigi, it was sort of like, this is customary. Like, we don't question this. Like, Gigi, you need to go through your training. Here, she wants to, Eliza has her own aspirations in life, who she wants to be in the world, and yet is relying on two men to teach her how to be more feminine, be more womanly, like, I don't know. It just
and he's a linguistics expert. Like, he's not an etiquette expert. He's not like, he's not, Gigi's aunt or whatever who's like studies this stuff. And it turned into so much more than that.
Well, we got to bring more terrible men into the story because Eliza's dad, I'll say 3 days has passed, right? So suddenly Eliza's dad out there, Alfred, realizes after 3 days, like, oh yeah, where's my daughter? But he's kind of like hopping and skipping around the street because he's got his own musical number. He's got to have his Mr. Cellophane moment here of just like a song that you could do without. And
whatever, you love this song.
And the song is like, with a little bit of luck. It's like, with a little bit of luck.
With a little bit of luck.
And again, if you listen to the lyrics, he's basically saying that, like, in life, as a man, you're expected to, take up a wife one day. You need to be good to your neighbor and you need to support your children. But with a little bit of luck, you don't have to do any of that. And again, just speaks to his really like selfish nature. And eventually he comes to realize that Eliza has gone girl, for 3 days. Because there's another random woman like living in her apartment, her flat or whatever, and saying like, oh, Eliza's asked me to take over some of her possessions, but like none of her clothes. And so her dad's left with this impression that she is shacking up with some rich guy, and they have the address. So he's like, I'm going to go over there. And, he's got dollar signs in his eyes. He sees an opportunity here. And so he heads over to Higgins' house. And again, it's just Higgins and it's Pickering, because Eliza is like in another room being hooked up to some machine, some like lie detector machine, just going, I. It's where it looks like a lie detector machine, where it's like measuring the way that she's saying her vowels.
Yeah.
So she doesn't even initially know like her dad's over there. So her dad shows up, talks to Higgins, and again, Higgins like is very like amused to see the man who raised Eliza. And her dad initially is there pretending, I think, to care for her well-being, like, oh, are you looking after her? But Alfred then makes it very clear, like, hey, like, for this arrangement, I will accept 5 pounds, and you can have her. It's bonkers. And Pickering is like quick to tell Alfred, he's like, hey, I just want you to know, like, me and Higgins, we're good guys. Okay, we're not gonna take advantage of her. We're good guys. And Alfred has this awful nasty line where he's like, yeah, I know, if you were bad people, I would ask for 50 pounds. It's just like,
Boo.
and so Higgins is like, he's so like, again, he is amused by the lack of morality in Alfred. Like, again, he is just like a rich guy playing in his sandbox, looking at these people and just not really seeing them as human beings. But Higgins offers, like, I'm willing to give you 10 pounds. And this is where Alfred steps in. He's like, no. You can't give me any more than just 5 pounds. He's like, if he had more money, he would be more miserable. Like, he would have to take up a wife and he would have to have morals the more money he had.
Making, like, the worst negotiator in the history of the world,
Yeah.
by the way.
This is ass backwards logic that I can't even wrap my head around. And so Higgins, sure as enough, as if we're selling some dresses, he just writes him up a check, for 5 pounds or whatever, gives it to Alfred. And Eliza does come out of the lie detector room and bumps into her dad. And it's just like a weird exchange. She's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, ah. And then she's like, ah. And he leaves.
That's all they say.
In the meantime, again, as a part of the B plot for the dad, Higgins apparently has been like getting a lot of letters from some rich American guy who's like interested in building like moral societies and finding like really moral people. And so as a joke, Higgins is like, oh, Mrs. Pierce, right back to this American fellow. Tell him we found the most moral guy here in London, Alfred P. Doolittle. And we're not going to see until the end the outcome of
All of
this
that.
little prank that Higgins just did. Yeah.
Again, why an American is coming to linguistics expert Henry Higgins to find this consultant blows my mind.
Right. And so Eliza is like pretty fed up because he's like, say your vowels, A-E-I-O-U. And she's like, A-E-I-O-U.
I-O-U.
And he's like, no. He's like, you're going to get this by the end of the day or else, basically.
And he said, or I'll give you no dinner and no chocolates.
Yeah.
Like treating her like a child.
Exactly. And so he heads upstairs. She has a good musical number here, which is...
Oh, yeah. Just You Wait.
Just You Wait.
I did like this one.
Yeah. She's like storming around the downstairs. It's seemingly just her. She's like, you're going to get yours, Higgins. Just you wait. You think you can treat me like this? Just you wait. And she goes into this whole fantasy mode where she pictures like a king, like declaring like today will be Eliza Doolittle Day. and she could basically... order an execution on Higgins.
Yes.
And when the fantasy breaks, Higgins is revealed to have been at the top of the stairs the whole time, I guess, watching her
Listening.
sing this like revenge song. And so she quickly scurries back into the lie detector room. And from here, we get like a montage of the various things that Higgins is making Eliza do. So it's pretty bizarre. He initially tries to get her to say like, hey, the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. And she's like, the rain and Spain.
Well, mainly on the plane.
No plane. And then he was like, okay, that's a disaster. Then he hooks her up to some other machine. Then he's like, we're going to work on your H's. And like, you're going to like say the H sound through this like little cone. And it's going to make this actual flame go up higher. And for some reason, there's a spinning mirror box here.
I even backed it up to see if he explains the mirror box. Had
Nope.
no clue what the mirror box was for.
But then we move on from that. And they're like upstairs and he's putting marbles in her mouth.
Basically playing Chubby Bunny with marbles.
Yeah.
He puts, and I did read that they were frozen grapes.
And he's like making her read a poem with her mouth full of marbles.
Which is not even possible if you are linguistically solid. Like, it was impossible. Imagine having
No.
the bottom half of your entire mouth filled with
Yeah.
glass balls and saying anything right.
So she didn't get it. She accidentally swallows one. All this kind of culminates until like one really late night. It's like 3 a.m. And it's like, it's her, it's Pickering, it's Higgins. And he's got a big old headache, Higgins does. He's got a big old ice pack on his forehead. And she's about had enough, Eliza.
She
She's
said-
like, I can't do it.
I wrote this down. She was like, oh, come on. And she says, I can't. I'm so tired. Just the way that, like, the film even let it, like, drag on. I'm so
Yes.
tired.
And I really believe her. Like,
Yeah.
I really do. Higgins' response is interesting. So
Yeah.
he
All of a sudden, gives a TED Talk.
Yes, right. And he was like, Eliza, he's like, you can do this, basically. He was like, because you sought this out. Like, you wanted this for yourself. Like, you are capable of doing this. It's perhaps the only sweet moment we
Yeah.
see between Higgins and Eliza. And I want you, the listener, to keep that in mind. Again, this relationship is important, right? And as soon as, like, I guess she hears this, it's like, I guess a light bulb moment, some sort of epiphany. But suddenly, out of nowhere, she's like, the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. And says it perfectly. The men are gooped.
Gooped.
Gagged.
I knew when I watched this that a couple points in the movie, I was like, Brad's going to say they were gooped and gagged.
And honestly, I am too. This was such a transformation, like out of nowhere.
You just figured this out right now, Liza?
Right. And they're all three of them are overjoyed that they start dancing around the living room. Mrs. Pierce is like woken up and she's like, what the actual fuck are you three doing? For the love of God, go to bed.
Is this when she asked if there's pounding?
Yes.
And she was like, do you hear a pounding? And Higgins is like, pounding? There's no pounding. He's like, if this goes on, Mrs. Pierce, you've got to see a doctor. And then she walks out like so confused and like worried about her health. It's just, again, like
full gaslight.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Higgins and Pickering like go to bed and Mrs. Pierce has to like drag Eliza up to her bed. But she is like, this is the happiest we've ever seen her. And she's singing this song, probably, it might be the most famous song because I feel like I've even heard this song, but she sings, I Could Have Danced All Night.
Yeah.
And as she's being like pulled up the stairs and eventually pushed into the bedroom and pushed into the bed and told over and over again to go to sleep. But even when Pierce leaves and closes the door, like she gets up out of bed and she's still just so happy with herself. Like she accomplished something.
Yeah.
And more than that though, I think she was happy that Higgins was happy. Like I think some of the lyrics in this song are like I could have danced like with him all night.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, if you're wondering if there's like a romantic thing to it, it is something I think worth discussing towards the end.
But as a viewer, you really don't know either.
Yeah.
Especially because, and I'll talk about this later with the actors, but you can see visibly there's an age gap. And it's very much like a father-daughter relationship, it feels like, throughout this whole thing. So yeah, you're like, wait, are there like feelings? And you're like, no, that can't be happening.
So Higgins is like, Eliza's ready for a test trial. We're off to the races.
Can I just say, this is my favorite part of the whole movie, was these race scenes.
There's an actual laugh out loud moment for me in the race, for sure. And I'm sure you know. The other important thing about this scene is that we get introduced to Higgins' mother, who I love so fucking much. Because when the scene starts, again, we mentioned it already, but this is another moment where the extras kind of come on the screen. Oh. And they're all like in white and black outfits, all very, like, this is a very fancy, a lot of white rich people
the
at the
hats,
races here.
Very like
the
horses.
Hats,
all the hats are beautiful. I loved this.
Yeah, aesthetically so pleasing to the eye. Like you just eat it all up. And then there's Higgins in his like brown tacky suit, and we see him first and he finds his mother. I love this moment. He like taps his mom on the shoulder. He's like, "Mother," and she turns around and she's like, "Ugh, what a disagreeable sight you are."
Henry, what a disagreeable surprise.
It was shades of Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development. Like, I fucking love this woman. And she's like, "You're not even dressed for the races. What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I changed my shirt." But he quickly explains to his mom like what he's up to, that he's got Eliza here. He's testing her out. And his mom is very quick to be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Like, you need a goddamn hobby, you disappointment of a son.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's all going to be good, Mom." Like, she's going to say like, "How do you do?" And she's going to talk about the weather and health.
I allowed her two subjects, the weather and everyone's health. I was like, everyone's health? Like, that's not even allowed. If we had a list of 20 subjects these days, you can talk about people's health. But he was like, it was going to be like, "Oh, the weather's nice. And how do you do?" Like, those are the only two things she was allowed to say. And
at this point, we're going to bring Freddie and his mom back into the picture. They run in the same social circles. So when Eliza shows up, it's like a real like Cinderella moment. Like, she's in dressed to the nines. Like, Pickering apparently like bought all these nice outfits for her. But it's like, it's very bizarre. So all like Higgins' mom, Freddie, his mom, they're like, "Oh, hello, new woman." And she's like, "How do you do?" And how do you do?
It was very Moira Rose. "Stevie, do we know how the man expired?" That's exactly what I thought of when she said this. And again, it goes to Audrey Hepburn. And, you have her Cockney accent she had to start with. And then she had to learn this, like, middle accent where she, like, is learning and supposed to be, like, more proper. But she has these Cockney, like, things that come in and out. So I really enjoyed how well she did that.
Yeah, and Higgins' mom, they're all like they're a little like mystified by her. And
then she says at one point, "Oh, have I said anything I oughtn't?" Like, she's just going over the top to try to sound so, like, pristine. But
Freddie, he is like, "Awooga," love goggles. He, like, takes one look at her, and he has no idea that this is the same woman he bumped into at the very beginning of the movie. Like, a woman he would have completely passed over and not even looked twice at. Suddenly, she's done all up, and she's speaking in this weird robotic manner, and he is, like, bricked up. And so she's doing okay. Like, she's talking about, like, hurricanes, and she's talking about her aunt who, like, her health, like, she supposedly died, but she was like, "I think they did her in." And they're like, did her in.
I think that's when she's like, have I said anything I oughtn't?
And then suddenly the horses are coming by, so they're like, oh, let's go see. The horses are coming.
Well, and Freddie says he's like, oh, I have money on Dover, so if you need a horse to care about in this race, you can care about Dover.
So they all get up to the fence, and as the horses are getting closer, suddenly Eliza, she's like, come on, Dover. Come on, Dover.
Come on,
And
Dover.
And as the horses pass, she's like, come on, Dover, you blooming arse.
Move, you blooming arse. Well, and like we saw the first race already where all the people were freeze framed. They had like their binoculars and they all just followed, and it was like, oh, the race is over. It was almost like a comic.
Yeah.
It was like comical. It was like, oh, I actually did LOL at that. But then you come back and they're all doing the same thing. It's all these people just dressed to the nines in their like hats, and they're all following. And then
all quiet.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see Eliza like jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And she yells, come on, Dover, move your blooming ass. And everyone just looks at her again, gooped and gagged.
It's record scratch, women faint, horses
A
died.
lady
Like,
faints. Yes.
like her accent completely slips here. Like, it's like,
Move your blooming ass.
this actually did make me laugh out loud.
Yeah. Add it to the list.
Everyone is like looking at her funny, except for like Higgins, who thinks all this is very funny, and Freddie, who again like will have the love goggles on the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
He like is so infatuated. So as the races are leaving, we do quickly see Higgins and his mom sort of like walking out, and his mom again is like, "Son, this is an impossible task. Why must you be so constantly irksome?" And she's like, you and Pickering are grown men, like playing with a doll, like playing with the plaything, like let her go. Like, this is irresponsible. So again, I would take it that she's kind of looking out for it. Like, I don't think Mrs. Higgins really cares about Eliza as a human being, not yet. But like, she can like see through this a little bit to say like, this doesn't make any sense, and you're treating her like a plaything. Like, you're treating her like a doll. You're not really treating her like a human being. You're dressing her up and you're teaching her to speak. She's really like kind of calling him out here. And Higgins is quick to just like, because she's a woman, you know, he's just hand waving her away. It's like, no, I'm taking her to the embassy ball. Just you watch, mother. Like, we're gonna succeed with what we're trying to do here. We're gonna pass her off as royalty at this ball. That's the end of the race scene.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about Freddie, another character who I think I could have done without, but he is going to show up at Higgins' place with some flowers, and Mrs. Pierce is going to answer the door, and he's going to be like, oh, please give these to Eliza Doolittle. And she's like, do you want to come inside and like see her for yourself? And he's like, no, I'll just camp out here for about 3 weeks. You can just find me directly outside this house.
Literally right here. Later in the movie, I'm like, wait, you have not moved at all.
He does not move. I swear to effing God. We'll get to it. So.
Well, and I think...
And he has a song, right?
Yeah, he has a song, On the Street Where You Live. It's literally saying, like, if you need me, I'll be here on the street where you live. That's where I'm going to camp out. And yes, he goes to the door. Mrs. Pierce is like, do you want to, like, come in? And he's like, no, just let her know. And she's like, well... And I think you get the sense that Eliza's almost a little bit embarrassed about how the race went. Like, almost, you know, kind of like, And she's like, well, sorry, sir. And she says, Miss Doolittle says she doesn't want to see anybody else ever again. I thought about like you, Brad. I was like, that's 100% what Brad sits at home and says. Like, I don't want to see anyone else ever again.
Ever again.
And so Freddie he's just like, okay, well, I'll be right here. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, he hears this, and any normal person would be like, oh, okay, that's a clear rejection. I'm going to go home. Freddie's like, I will just stay right here. I'll stay rooted to the spot.
I'm going to stay. Yep.
Yeah, so this is about like when we get closer to embassy time, it's showtime. And I think because of the horse incident and Pickering, I think is just a little like jittery. At this point, Eliza's upstairs, like formally getting ready for the ball. We haven't seen her yet. And it's Pickering and Higgins downstairs. And yeah, Pickering wants to like call off the bet. He was like, never mind, let's pull out of this.
He said it's inhumane to continue.
Yes. And he was like, I don't know, Higgins, how you can't be like chugging a bottle of wine right now. Like, I'm so nervous. Like, we should not be doing this. And Higgins, again, very hand wavy, is like, nope, it's going to be fine. I'm going to succeed because anything that I set out to do, I will accomplish. And this is about me and my ego. And we're doing this. Okay. But we will see him at some point. He like goes around the corner and he does like quickly like chug like a glass of alcohol, presumably. So like, again, like who Higgins is, like his performance in front of people might be different than what he's like internally feeling. And so like him like chugging that glass of wine or whatever, I think is our cue that like he is also a little nervous himself. And
that was after Eliza had come down the steps.
Yes.
And like looked stunning. And I think he's like, okay, this is real. And now I am a little bit nervous because she looks really good and it's go time. So yeah, I did like when he went off and just took like a quick shot of wine, basically.
Yeah, she does look stunning. Like
Stunning.
real Cinderella moment.
A lot of jewelry.
A lot of jewelry, yeah. Like her hair's all done up. It's a very, yeah, it's a nice outfit.
This is the Audrey Hepburn we all know and love.
Yes.
You
Yep.
would recognize her in this. It's interesting too, slowly throughout the movie up to this point,
Mhm.
you see her like dressing a little nicer. She does, again,
Yeah.
this was big on the costume designer and makeup. Like she just slowly becomes like more and more put together. So I think it all kind of culminated up to this point where you're like, whoa.
I wouldn't have minded if the movie told us maybe like how much time had passed here. Cause like,
Yeah.
you know, we heard Higgins talk about like 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Like we don't really know, but I think that would have helped me think about this with some more context, you know, when we get to sort of this second half, because they head off to the embassy, and this is where we cut to intermission.
Mhm. An
which
intermission.
was not as long.
No, I think it was like a few minutes long, but
Yeah.
we haven't had an intermission in many movies.
And the Oliver one I remember lasted a lot longer. Like we had to literally like fast forward get through it.
No, but it reminded me, I mean, it's clear that these two, Oliver and this one, you know, are stage productions first, so it did play into all that. So I didn't mind the intermission in this one.
I would agree. And, you know, then we get to what I would call the better half of the movie. Not that the first half is like bad, but this is all the meat and potatoes because we're going to get the embassy here. And we have, it's Higgins, it's Pickering, Higgins' mom is there, and of course Eliza as well. So it's the four of them that are there. And as soon as they arrive, this new character comes on screen, Zoltan. And Zoltan, he is a former pupil of Higgins. He's Hungarian. I guess Higgins, you know, helped him maybe learn English. And for some reason, Zoltan has come to the embassy to crack some cases. Like he is here to solve some mysteries. He was like, I know how to spot a faker from a mile away. And he seems to only be here at this very fancy ball for the Queen of Transylvania or whatever, because he just wants to find out the frauds, the ones who are pretending to be someone they're not. It's such a convenient
I know.
thing for the plot.
I was
to
like, wait,
have this.
what? Like,
Yeah. It's not going to just be Zoltan, but as soon as he sees Eliza, he is like obsessed with her. And
Yeah.
she is the most popular. Like at some point, they're all gathering to see the Queen of Transylvania. And even when she sees Eliza Doolittle, she's like, oh, damn. Oh, damn,
Whoa.
Eliza. Can you not be so beautiful?
damn. Why is she so beautiful?
He's having so hot, Eliza?
Yeah.
Damn. Everybody is obsessed with Eliza. And Zoltan in particular, like he is trying to like get a conversation with her. And we see like Pickering and Mrs. Higgins, they're doing everything they can to keep Eliza away from this man. But like I said, she is like a smash hit. The queen's son wants to dance with her and she gets a whole big moment. And
Can I just say something too?
yeah.
Eliza's like so boring at this thing.
Yes.
Just the way they always show her, and
So ordinary.
She like plies and like
Yes.
says thank you, and like it's like all of her Eliza spirit is gone, and I didn't like that as a viewer, and I don't know if that's what they were getting to, but it did give that
Right.
feeling to me. I was like, wait, you're like boring.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that this is like the climax of the film, right? Like, this is like, I mentioned Cinderella a few times, and I really feel like there is like overlap here.
Mhm.
Like, you know, Cinderella getting to the ball, right? Being completely transformed, like, and she's the star of the show. The prince is dancing with her, yada, yada, yada,
Yeah.
right? But she knows it's all fake. But like, we really are not centered in her POV at all. Like, we weirdly are sort of outside the action at the embassy. Like, we're not even hearing conversations. Because at some point, Zoltan finally gets to Eliza, and we see Higgins, like, allowing Zoltan to dance with Eliza. And then we see them dance and they're clearly audibly talking to each other, but we don't get to hear what they're saying. And
Yeah.
so we're made to believe, and we keep seeing like Pickering's like nervous face, like, oh, what are they talking? Oh, is he figuring it out? Is he cracking the case? And when the dance is over, you see Zoltan immediately like go straight to this other woman and like whisper in her ear. And again, we don't get to hear it.
Yeah.
But we know that rich people love to fucking gossip. So this woman takes it to the next woman, who takes it to the next woman, and they're all whispering about something. And we're left on that cliffhanger. And like, that's the end of the embassy scene. And I did think that was a little bit of an odd choice to
Yeah.
not be more centered in like Eliza's experience at the embassy. And they kind of like leave it on this like weird cliffhanger. Like, did Zoltan figure it out? What was the outcome? Oh no, we cut away back to Higgins' place.
Yeah.
And the housekeepers are all there. They want to hear what happened. Eliza's in the room. Pickering's in the room. Higgins is in the room. Higgins' mom is not in the room, but I wish she had been in the room because she would have maybe set some people straight
Yeah.
here. And Higgins is going to, with much bravado, jump into a song about how he did it.
It's literally titled "You Did It."
You did it.
And he basically came back to his house and was like, that's fucking right. I did it. and is like, and I'm going to celebrate me tonight. And it was a success and I did it. And the song ironically is called You Did It, but it's really all about Higgins and how successful he was.
Yeah. Like Pickering, you know, I don't know if he won or lost the bet, but like, yeah, he's the one too being like, you did it, Higgins. He is bricked up for Higgins nailing this, for succeeding or whatever. And you can just see it. The camera doesn't even really zoom in on Eliza's face or, you know, Audrey's performance here, but you can just see it on her face, like in the background. You can see in her nonverbals the way that she is like folding in on herself, seeing these men just congratulate themselves, speaking about her as if she's not in the room.
Yeah.
I guess we should resolve the cliffhanger, but basically in his song, he's saying that like Zoltan, after he danced with Eliza and what he was whispering about, he believed that Eliza was a foreigner of some sort, but he believed that she was like a Hungarian princess. And so in their mind, they succeeded because they tricked someone like Zoltan into thinking, and I guess the whole place, into thinking that she was royalty of some sort.
Yeah. At one point in this song, too, Higgins says, let's give credit where credit is due. I couldn't have done it without. And you see him point, and the camera pans over, and you're like, oh, this is where he's going to talk about Eliza. And he points at Pickering. He's like, you and
did
Pickering
it.
Is like, oh, yeah, thank you. Bricked up. So
bricked up.
It's just all about that. And that's, like you said, and I like this, you just see Eliza in the back, just kind of like, are you fucking kidding me?
This is hurting her. And by the end of the scene, she has literally backed up to the wall, to the corner of the room. And everybody kind of like files out. And Higgins is the last one. And again, nobody really speaks directly to her until Higgins is like, oh yeah, Eliza, can you get the lights too when you're done? See ya. And she is crushed. And this is where the movie, in my opinion, I suddenly was interested. Like, we got some drama here.
Yeah. Eliza ugly stops. Like, falls into
to the ground.
Couch, into the ground, and is like, ah! And then what's his name? Hickering comes in, or no, Higgins comes in. Hickering.
Hickory dickory dock comes back.
Higgins comes in, and he's kind of like doo, like still like pumped and like loving life. Yeah, like doing a little dance, and he's like, oh, hey Eliza,
where are my
slippers? Can you throw me my slippers? And again, like
and
no way he missed that she's sobbing on the floor.
Yes.
But and then she's like, here's your slippers. And throws them at him.
Throws them both at him. This is queen behavior. And
he's like, wait, are you upset?
Right, yeah. Classic man. He's like, wait, what's wrong?
Yeah.
So we get into, this is a pretty big scene between Higgins and Eliza, where Eliza's trying to articulate that like, oh, so this is it. You succeeded. You won. And so what's your plan next? Are you just going to cast me back out? Are you going to just spit me back out on the street? You're done with me. I was nothing more to you than just this bet that you won.
She said, what am I fit for now? Where am I to go? I think she really thought this was about helping her succeed. But then seeing this, she's like, wait, this whole time it was about you succeeding. And I'm just like a pawn in this. And so I liked when she said, like, what am I fit for now? Like, where am I to go? Because you do, like, they haven't really focused on that. And she's done all this work, had all this growth, can say words right. And now she's like, wait a second. So I liked those lines in this fight.
I don't know if either of them really understood or didn't anticipate this, but like, he didn't really just teach her how to speak English. Like she's like fundamentally changed from all of this.
Yeah.
Like she is like, we're going to see later, like her try to go back to her old life a little bit. And she's not the same person anymore.
No.
Like she is fundamentally changed as a human being. And with that, she's almost like an 18-year-old, like being kicked out of parents' house and having to be like, where do I go? How do I forge my own path? And Higgins, who is not her father, doesn't treat her like a daughter. In this scene, he's like, well, you can just go marry a guy, or why don't you just go open up your little flower shop? Pickering will fund it for you. He'll get you the money for it. And just acts so like flippant towards her next steps, and it's hurting her even more to see him be so sort of casual about what's next for her. It's like she's realizing she doesn't have the respect of a lady. Like she doesn't have the respect of anybody, certainly not Higgins. And all she is like a dolled up, more fluent English speaker than she was, but she doesn't actually get the respect of anybody that's around her. She's not being seen as a human being. And it's like she's realizing, like, I was your doll. I was your, like, plaything this entire time. And, like...
We saw in Wouldn't It Be Loverly, like, all that she did want to happen.
Right.
Like we saw her dreams, and I think throughout this movie or throughout this journey, she's like, oh, all this is going to happen to me and this is going to help me get there. That's why she initially went to Higgins and was like, okay, help me. And to see that she's basically feeling like she's back at square one with even less opportunities. She's like, fuck.
I really like this part. Higgins is basically being like, you're being ungrateful. He's like, have I done something wrong to you? Has Pickering done something wrong to you? Like, have we offended you in some way? Have we not given you the world, basically? And as he's trying to head up the stairs and get away from her, she was like, do these clothes belong to me? She was like, if I walked out of here now, will I be accused of being a thief if I walked out of here in these clothes? What belongs to me? And like, it was so poignant. Like, I found that so like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, answer her question, bitch.
Yeah. And he's like, a thief? You think I would call you a thief? And it's like, it just, this whole, all the emotion just goes back and forth. And you're like, what does he feel for her? Like, what is going on here? But you're right. That was a really good line. Yeah.
Because it's like, for her, it's like, what actually belongs to her now? You know, like, was all this a facade? You know, Pickering bought all these clothes for her, but like, what actually belongs to her now? Like, what is hers? You know, we talk about like self-authorship and just, you know, being your own person. Like, she's left with none of that. Like, she's questioning it. And Higgins basically like, you can take anything but the jewelry, and tries to go back upstairs. And she's like, no, here you go. And she's like taking off all the jewelry. And she's like, and here's this ring that you bought me, which, you know, I wish the movie maybe would have shown us this scene. But she's like, oh, and this is the ring you brought me from Brighton. Here you go. I don't want it anymore. And this really seems to hurt him now, but he's going to steel himself up again. He's going to go up the stairs, and Eliza heads out of the house. She's like, fuck this. And as she steps out of the house, there's fucking Freddie. They're at like 4 a.m.
I was like, God damn, Freddie, you literally are just staying right there, huh?
Damn it, Freddie.
And he's
why
like,
must you be so constantly irksome?
He's like in the best like mood, looks fresh as a daisy. Like, he showers out there, he eats full meals out there, he shaves out there. Like, he is ready at 4 a.m. to accept Eliza in whatever state she's in. He's like, oh!
And he does. He starts like profusing all these like really nice things and everything. And she entertains it for a little bit. And then she just stops him. And she's like, all you do is talk, 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 talk. And this like leads to this song, Show Me, where she's like, she's so sick of men around her just talking, saying so much and yet saying so little.
Yeah. Freddie's like, show me? I've been out here waiting for you for 4 weeks. I haven't gone inside in days. Like, what more could I do?
But you're so right. Like, please, I'm literally dying for you.
He's like, I haven't eaten in days. What more could I do?
And she really just like leaves him there. Like, she's like knocking over trash cans to stop him from following her. Like, we're gonna see her head back on her own with, oh no, Freddie is around, but he's like waiting by the taxi or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
and then all of a sudden she's like, taxi, I need a taxi.
Yes.
And so Freddie's like, okay, let's get a taxi.
And she heads back to where we see her at the beginning, like back to kind of her old stomping grounds. And the men there don't even recognize her. They're all being like, oh, hello, ma'am. And like, they're being very like overly like nice and formal, like treating her like a lady. And she realizes like, this isn't my world anymore. Like, you know, she's not the same person anymore. Like, she has changed, and
she's completely unrecognizable. Like, you know, these are the people she used to hang out with that used to know her, and they're like, ma'am, like, you shouldn't be here. Like, we should get you a taxi home. And she just, I think she doesn't say very much. I think because she's just like stunned. She's just like,
yeah.
What? Again, it goes back to her, like, what am I fit for? Like, where am I to go? She's like, I can't even go here now. Like, this is out of the question.
Yeah, she's feeling really lost. And if she wasn't confused enough, she's going to run into her dad.
Oh, great. And her dad comes out rich as fuck, by the way.
She's not the only one who has gone through a transformation. Here comes Alfred P. Doolittle in like full suit. And his 2 friends too, all dressed up, all dolled up. And so the dad quickly lets her know and lets us know like what's been going on. So like that rich American guy reached out to him and then died and like has left all this money to Alfred, who can't refuse it because he's just so greedy. But this is the same guy who said at the beginning, like, if he had more money, he would be more miserable, basically.
Yeah. And
his 2 buddies are like, hey, you got to get to the church. It's time. And Eliza's like, church? What the fuck? And he's like, oh, I'm marrying your stepmother.
I gotta go marry your stepmom at 4 a.m.
You're going to be one of her stepkids.
Stepkid.
And so Eliza's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna just exit this B plot.
Yeah, I'm not going to that.
And unfortunately, we have to follow him to the church, and he has a whole big church number. It's like, take me to church or
Get
something.
me to the
I don't
church
know.
on time.
And he marries this woman we never even saw.
Basically, the whole
and-
street, everyone just gathers around to carry this man to the church through the streets.
Yes.
And and that's really,
That's the end of him.
series wrap on Alfred. When he was talking to Eliza, he was like, I had to accept the money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he says something, he said, I don't know about it though. He says, I have to live for others now, not for myself. So
Yes.
you get that, like, he was always after money. We saw the first time we meet him, he's like going into shops and begging and asking Eliza for money. And now he's like, I don't know, like, I do have all this money, but I don't really like it. Like, now I have to be responsible with it. I have to live for others, not just myself. And it does. I think it showed this, again, parallel. Like, if you get what you want, it's not always what you imagine it to be. And then Eliza's kind of doing the same thing. And so I liked that parallel there. But yeah, I was glad to not have to see Alfred anymore.
Yeah, and the next morning, Higgins wakes up and is somehow pissed and surprised that Eliza is gone. She has gone girl. He is like...
he doesn't get it. He had no idea she would leave.
Yeah.
Like, I would be more surprised when I woke up after the argument they had if she was still there,
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, she left?
Yeah, literally he's having Pickering, like, call the police because she must have been abducted. She's missing. Like, there's no other explanation than the one that is actually true, which is, like, she left because of you, Higgins.
Yeah.
And again, like on the phone, Pickering to the police, like the police are asking him questions like, oh, what's her eye color? And he's like, and Higgins pops his head in and he's like, she's got brown eyes. Like, again, I think we're supposed to like cue in that like he does care about Eliza, was paying attention to these things that you would like someone like Pickering wasn't paying attention to.
Yeah.
And so eventually Higgins is like, well, I'm going to go see my mom. And this is where Eliza ended up. She ended up at Mrs. Higgins.
Like, why?
and-
Why did Eliza go
Yeah.
to Henry's mom's house? I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, she apparently was like so familiar enough with Mrs. Higgins that she was there as like a safe place. And this is where again Mrs. Higgins is a queen. She's like, my son's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I cannot believe he did that to you.
I loved
He's so
it.
grounded.
He's so grounded.
And so Higgins shows up.
Can we talk about Higgins at his mom's house?
Yeah.
Like, he shows up. They basically,
man baby.
Yeah, a man baby, and his mom has like a little bench in the corner, and his mom's basically like, Henry, I can't believe you did this. And he's like, ugh. He goes and sits on this little bench. And it like reminded me of when like Michael Scott has to sleep on that like end bench at the end of his bed. Yeah, he's like, look, I fit perfectly right here. Like he goes over into this little teeny bench and like sits and like crosses his arms like a 4-year-old and like pouts.
Yes.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Mrs. Higgins is like, I'll be in the library, dear. Just holler if you need me.
You
like,
have to screenshot that.
Yeah. And so she heads out. And so we get, again, the second kind of important scene here between Higgins and Eliza. And Eliza is sticking up for herself. Like, she won't accept the fact that he would be this cold to her. And she tells them, like, I came to care for you. And it should be noted, too, she like, states clearly, like, this is not about romance. I don't want to marry you. I don't want to marry Pickering. She's like, I came to care for you. And he's like, well, I feel the same way about you. And then he's like, but so does Pickering. And like is quick to just, he can't just be honest with how he feels. He hides his feelings.
Rewinds it. He's like, but like as a friend, basically.
And she was like, I've given it some thought. I'm going to marry Freddie and I'm going to be Zoltan's assistant.
And he said, Freddie. The way that he said this, I was like, oh my God, why are you a child at this point?
Right. Yeah. She's like, I don't know if she's like truly serious here or she's kind of being petty. She knows the things that would kind of set Higgins off here, but she's letting him know that like, I am going to figure this out on my own. I don't need you anymore. And like, if you can't own up to your own feelings that like can't even be friendly with me, like after all that we've been through, then I don't need you anymore. Higgins basically lets her leave the room. And this is also like one of my favorite moments. The mother comes back and he was like, now what am I to do? And she was like, do without. And I love that line. The ending here is is very interesting, and I've been thinking about it for a while now. So we see Higgins kind of walk home, Charlie Brown, he's sad, head down. But then he does burst into a song where he was like, well, I kind of got used to her face, and basically is like telling us and admitting to himself that like of course he cared about Eliza all along.
Yeah. The song's called I've Grown Accustomed to Her Face.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, I really
he
nailed
says
that.
he literally says that.
And he walks all the way home, and he's like super sad because he believes that she is like gone for good. And she did have this jab at him before she left of like, well, my voice is still like on your little like gramophone thing. You can go listen to me say the vowels or whatever.
Yeah.
And so when he gets home, he does like play it and hears her voice and sits down in the chair. And then suddenly we see Eliza show up at the house, and she stops the gramophone, and he kind of like looks back, sees her there, and then is like, puts his hat over his face, leans back, and he's like, Eliza, where's my slippers?
And she takes that as the most romantic thing a man could have ever said to her and smiles like, oh.
Oh, Higgins.
Oh, yeah, doesn't say a word. All we see is her just smile, relax, and fade to black.
Let's start here at the end, because yeah, I do have a lot of thoughts. I will say that this movie made me think, which I always appreciate when a movie does, and I accepted this movie really on surface level the entire way through until like this ending, and when they were like having these like deep fights, and I felt like talking about like real complex layered things, and I really appreciate that the movie had this in it. And the ending, I think, is complicated. I think it's a complicated decision to have Eliza return to the house. And I know, Carly, you talk a lot about the differences between like the play or like, you know, the differences in the medium. I did look into this as well, so I don't know if you caught this as well. But in the play, the actual stage play, not the musical, but it seems like in the play, Eliza does not return to Higgins' place. She means what she says, and it ends with Higgins in his mind. Like, it literally ends with him being like, she'll come back to me one day, like fully believing that she would. And the playwright later, because of these other adaptations, had to like come out with like an addendum to say unequivocally, she does not ever come back.
Love.
It's hard. It's like, I don't think this is like a romantic ending at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like romantic in the sense of like I don't believe that they're in love. I don't believe this is a love story. And I like the movie for making that choice, because I would have hated this more. And it obviously means that they are going to continue to have this sort of complex, codependent kind of
toxic
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't like that for her. And it basically allows him to have been a petulant man baby for this entire film. And he gets away with it. Like, he gets away with everything. And it's like, obviously the movie was trying to indicate to us that he did care for her, but I just don't believe it as a viewer of this movie. Like, I don't have the warm fuzzies from Higgins to her. I feel like any viewer watching this, like the relationship between Higgins and Eliza is so at the center of it. And based on how you received the ending, I think I needed to see more of the relationship throughout this film. Like, I just felt like I was missing information. And we said it earlier in the recap, but there was really only like one soft moment between Higgins and Eliza where he basically tells her, you know, right before she has the moment of saying like the rain in Spain, you know, and has that moment, like, where he's like, you can do this, like, you are capable of doing this.
Yeah.
And I wish there was maybe more sweetness that we could have seen, but I felt like the movie only showed me Higgins being an awful human being to Eliza the whole way through from start to finish. One nice moment in the middle, but is that enough to justify?
Was there an arc at all? You know, like, was there an arc? Are we supposed to feel like Higgins learned from this experience when he was literally just at his mom's house crying like a baby? And now we're
Right.
like, yeah, I totally agree with you.
I do. I wish Eliza did not return, but I do also appreciate her, like, her being self-aware enough to know like she deserves better, like her just at least standing up to Higgins and like walking away from his house initially. And I wish I could have seen more visually in the film, like what Higgins meant to her. So it's complicated because I'm like, how much did she not really understand when she went there and asked for these lessons? And at what point did the relationship change for her in the positive? You know, at what point, you know, she was singing that song about like, you're going to get what's coming to you, Higgins. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do we go from that to like her literally like screaming, crying, throwing slippers at him because she cares about him so much in this relationship? Like, I do feel like we were missing some of that. You know, I guess you got to consider like this is 1964 and the 60s are really dominated in the Best Picture winner category of like these lighthearted romance, comedy, musicals. Like, you know, it maybe would have been too controversial for her to have said, fuck you, Higgins, I'm on my own now.
Yeah.
Maybe a 1960s audience would have hated that. Instead, they want to see this slightly sort of romanticized version where it's a happy ending, you know, for both of them.
Yeah.
Very interesting to think through. And I wasn't anticipating it approaching this movie because I was like, oh, it's a musical, whatever. But
yeah, and I never wanted them together either as a viewer.
No.
I never wanted them together. And so I liked how for a while Higgins start to like care about her, because he should care about her and be a nice man. But I feel like it took this weird turn that it doesn't seem like the play ever wanted it to take, or the original playwright.
Yeah.
I'm glad you looked into that, because I agree.
Let's talk in general how we felt about this 3-hour movie. The emoji we chose for our rating is the cherry blossom, the pink flower. We felt like a flower was probably the best choice. There weren't really a good slippers emoji, and there's nothing else really stood out to me anyways, but I felt like there's a lot of flower imagery, and yeah, it just kind of had that aesthetic to it the whole way through, even with their costumes and their wardrobe and stuff. It all felt flowery and feathery, and so yeah, we went with the cherry blossom pink flower. And I'll start, Carly.
Okay, I'm interested.
Okay. I will be giving My Fair Lady 4 flowers out of 5.
Wow, why?
Again, it's like, I like when a movie can surprise me. And when I think about some of the other films that I put higher than others, it's like, while I don't necessarily agree with Eliza's decision there at the end, I at least am glad that the movie provided me something I can actually like think through and analyze, and that there's layers and there's complexity to this plot and to these relationships and to these characters. That's what I like. I like thinking about thinking. Like it just stuck with me, this second half in particular. Like there was just a lot of juicy things to dig into. Why does she make that choice in the end? And it's not entirely perfect, but I like when a movie does that. I like that a movie can evoke that feeling out of me. And so I want to give it a 4.
Love that.
What about you, Carly? It's a musical. You love musicals.
I love musicals. I do. Like I said, I had seen this musical in person at E.J. Thomas Hall in Akron when I went there. Go Zips. And
Fire up.
Brad, please.
Fire up, Zip.
Brad, please. But no, I have always liked this story. I've always loved, just in general, the idea of the movie. And watching this movie, it made me laugh a few times, which is a plus. And some of the cinematography I thought was brilliant. I just loved.
Yeah.
I thought they took this race scene and made it into this just like beautiful piece of art, I thought. And I just really loved it. And I, for that reason, am giving this movie also a 4 cherry blossoms out of 5.
Woo!
Woohoo!
And it really could have gotten a 5 from me if it was shorter. If
Yeah.
the dad character, the Freddy character didn't work for me. I would have liked to have seen that time reallocated to, again, showing us the Higgins Eliza relationship more, I think. So, but that's what holds it back for me from making it to that 5. But
So you ranked this movie the same amount of emojis as Chicago. That's how much you liked it.
I did.
Okay. I love that.
That's now 2 musicals.
I know,
I'm giving 4s to.
You do like musicals, it seems.
No, I do not. I've never seen Glee. There are no photos of me from my childhood.
A proven Gleek. You did give Oliver a 2, so you maintain your
Yeah,
average.
Gigi was a 2.
Yeah. Do you think this movie is for the gays? It is for Brad, it seems. Would you say it's for the gays?
This movie is so gay. like the entire aesthetic vibe of it is so gay.
Yeah.
I think every female character in here, the gays are standing. And Pickering and Higgins are gay lovers. You can't convince me otherwise.
Slippers, gay.
Slippers, so gay. Horses are gay. Freddie was probably gay.
Yeah, probably.
We'll get into it with the director, but this might have been directed by a gay man.
Gay.
So that gives it gay points.
Love it.
What about for you, Carly? Is this a man's picture?
Brad, I think it's definitely for the ladies. The My Fair
I think so,
Ladies. I think it's for the My Fair Ladies. Yeah, I liked it. I think it's something that you can kind of dance to, and I will reiterate that it made me chuckle throughout the movie. Like I had, some of those like yeah, there's there weren't too many like laughs, but a lot of chuckles, and I think it's just a fun story,
Yeah.
We need more of those. So yes, for the ladies.
Well, let's see where we rank My Fair
Let's
Lady.
do it.
I do have a specific spot.
Okay, I'm interested because I have one in mind too.
Okay. I'll just do it. I'll rip the Band-Aid off.
Tell me.
I want to put this in B tier between 12 Years a Slave
Whoa.
and Terms of Endearment.
Okay. I was thinking B tier as well, so I feel I was
Beer
also
tier.
thinking beer. I'm always thinking beer a little bit. But I was also thinking B tier, so I think we
Okay,
agree
good.
on that. In my head, I put it above 12 Years a Slave. I think simply because I didn't end the film nauseous. So I think that probably shouldn't come into as much play as I'm giving it. So I could see it being where you think between the two.
First impression, I was like, okay, this feels like a B tier movie. And a part of me was like, I think I'll just tell Carly I want it in B tier and she can put it wherever she wants in B
Aw,
tier.
that's so
And we
nice.
But yeah, 12 Years a Slave continues to be like a tricky one for me to
Yeah.
think about from a viewing experience. I think it is a good, powerful movie. And so it's hard to put things above it or below it or just trying to like rank around it a
Yeah.
little bit for me. But I think I'm okay with it being above it. I
Are
really
you sure?
am. So,
Because I
yeah.
like that you're checking me on it. So
No.
if you're cool with it,
Top of B tier. Puts it like 7th overall, top 10, not bad.
yeah, not bad at all.
Second place, hell yeah.
Second place, hell yeah.
7th place, hell yeah. Well, Carly,
Yes.
please guess the Rotten Tomato score for My Fair Lady.
Ooh. Well,
It's not a new number.
not a new number. Well, you ranked it high, so it means that it has a high Rotten Tomatoes because you align with it. It's not a new number. I'm gonna say 94.
Wow, wow, wow. 94.
No way.
You got it.
No way.
It's 94.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting too good at this. We have a few 94s.
Yeah, I think Wings and Can't Take It With You, I think, are in 94.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let me talk about the director real quick.
Okay.
George Cukor. Very prolific. Because again, like he had movies being nominated for Best Picture in 1933 and again in 1944. And like here he is in the 1960s, like taking home the win here for My Fair Lady. So this guy was all over the map. So we talked about like Little Women and Gaslight already. Those were other previously Best Picture nominees. He also directed A Star Is Born, which is, I try to write down any titles I recognize. It's not the Lady Gaga one, but
No, of course not. Is it the one with the lady from... Wait, don't tell me.
do you want the first letter?
Yeah.
J.
Judy Garland. Is it the one with Judy Garland?
It is, yep.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, George.
George was also tapped to direct Gone with the Wind initially and got pretty far into like the pre-production process for Gone with the Wind. And then all of a sudden had some like a drama come up and the studio kind of booed him and put in Victor Fleming instead. So, but he very nearly directed Gone with the Wind.
Wow, he's pretty, like you said, pretty prolific.
Yeah, very visible in Hollywood. And it was a pretty much well-known sort of like open secret that he was a flaming homosexual. And
Okay, George.
he would have these like weekly Sunday parties for all these sort of like closeted gay queer celebrities to come and just kiki every Sunday at his like lavish rich home.
Wow.
So he hosted every week for them.
Every week. So he was kind of like
Yeah.
the first like true ally in Hollywood, you know?
Yeah, he was also, George Cukor was very big in Broadway. I can't think off the top of my head like what productions specifically he was involved in, but I know he had some beef with Bette Davis and she kind of walked away saying like he didn't treat me right. But
Betty,
Betty, please.
that can't be right.
All right, let's talk about the 37th Academy Awards here in April of 1965. This was hosted by Bob Hope. He's back again. I'll probably say it every single time, but he hosted the Oscars 19 times.
I was going to say, didn't he host like 20 times?
Yeah,
Okay.
we just talked about him in Going My Way because he also hosted that one. This is actually only the 4th of 19 times we've talked about him, which I can't believe because it feels like I've talked about him so much more than that.
We're like pretty on pace though. We're at almost at 20% of the way through
Right.
the movies, 20% of the way
Yep.
through the Bob Hope. So thank you,
Yep.
Random Wheel, for keeping us on track with our Bob Hope hosted
Exactly.
events.
Gregory Peck presented Best Picture. This is a name I feel like I recognize, but I don't know. He feels like one of those like Hollywood, golden
Yeah.
age of Hollywood legends who is an Oscar winner at this point himself. He won Best Actor for his role as Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. So let's talk about the lesser half.
Let's.
Only 5 films, thank God.
Ugh. It's because this one was way too fucking long. The voters didn't have time to watch them anymore.
Exactly. The first one is called Beckett. It had 12 nominations and only 1 win. Beckett was produced by Hal B. Wallace, who presented the Best Picture Award to Going My Way. He's that prolific producer who produced Casablanca. And Beckett's like a historical drama film. We have to have one of these every every Oscars. So, but with 12 nominations and only one win, it's tied for like one of the losing list movies of all time.
Wow.
And I have some of the other titles that tie with it. A movie called Johnny Belinda, The Turning Point in 1977, The Color Purple in 1985,
Wow.
The Power of the Dog in 2021, and just recently Emilia Perez in 2024. All have 11 losses.
Big ol' stinkers.
Yep. Its one win is an adapted screenplay.
They literally just gave them that because they needed one. Like they were like,
They're
fine.
like, he can't be
You can have
the most
adapted
losingest.
screenplay. Yeah.
Next movie is Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
It's like Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire. Like, could we just make it Doctor Strangelove? Why is this such a long name?
It is more commonly called Doctor Strangelove, but I had to say the full
Or How I Learned
title.
to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb?
This is a movie I've seen because it's directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it's podcast lore at this point that
You
I
love
took
it. You're bricked up.
Stanley Kubrick film class. It had only 4 nominations and 0 wins because the Academy fucking hates Stanley Kubrick and will never awarded him anything. I'm going to skip the next movie real quick and come back to it. But
Okay.
the third movie I'm going to mention is called Zorba the Greek. It had 7 nominations and 3 wins. It wins in Best Supporting Actress, Art Direction, I believe black and white or in color. No, probably black and white. And then in cinematography, also black and white. So they still had these categories for films in black and white and for films that are in color. And so the last movie, and why I wanted to wait till the end, was Mary Poppins.
Yes.
This is
Why, Brad?
Disney's iconic. It had 13 nominations and 5 wins. So in terms of nominations, this was it had more nominations than My Fair Lady, which only had 12. It did not take home the most wins, but as you listener probably know, you probably have seen this Mary Poppins, right? Starring Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews.
And this is noteworthy because Julie Andrews, and I'm sure Carly, sorry if I'm stepping on any toes,
It's
but I feel like this is a
fine.
good point.
Go ahead and stop.
Good part to talk about it. But, My Fair Lady is based on a stage musical where Julie Andrews originated the role of Eliza Doolittle on Broadway, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So when they were casting for My Fair Lady for this movie, everyone assumed that, oh, well, you got to have Julie Andrews. This would have been her film debut. And then Jack Warner from Warner Brothers said, nope, we need name recognition. We need a famous face in there. Made the decision to pull out Julie Andrews and put in Audrey Hepburn instead. And this seemed to be a huge controversial decision.
Yeah.
And at this particular Oscars, it was like the center of all conversation at this Oscars, because I'll mention it now, but Audrey Hepburn does not receive a nomination for Best Actress.
Snub.
Complete 100% snub. Julie Andrews, who Mary Poppins is her film debut, is nominated for Best Actress and does win.
Queen.
And this feels very much like intentional. Like, it just sucks that like Audrey had to be punished for a decision that like a man made. That compounded with the fact that her singing was dubbed over. All of this, like, I believe, just reading into it, that this is why Audrey wasn't even nominated. She was present at this Academy Awards and had to present the Best Actor Award, which is going to go to her coworker, Rex Harrison. And I read that the camera was really playing up this like Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn the whole night. So you just hate to see people twist this to be like, it's woman versus woman. Like, they're mad at each other. This is a feud.
But then you saw, I don't know if it came up in yours, but like Audrey Hepburn and Julie Andrews came out and said like, we're not mad at each other. Like, they're actually very good friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I could just totally see how this was being spun, and like,
isn't that crazy? Even in like the 60s, this was happening.
the 60s,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Audrey should have absolutely been nominated in this category.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not like she should have won against Julie Andrews, and I haven't seen this Mary Poppins movie, but like, obviously she's very good in it, and it's her. And I'm sure it's her own voice.
Super iconic role. Yep. She's pretty good in it.
But it's also fascinating that she's pulled out of My Fair Lady. She gets cast in Mary Poppins, and that both these movies come out in the same year, and they're both at this Oscars. And Audrey's not even in the category, and Julie does take home the win. So yeah, this was just the biggest takeaway, I think, from the 37th Academy Awards. So Mary Poppins does give 5 wins. Again, Julie Andrews does win Best Actress. It wins in editing, music score, original song for like Chim Chim Chimney Cheree or whatever, and then in visual effects, because aren't there like animated penguins in it or something?
Yes,
So.
famously so.
And so we get to My Fair Lady. It had 12 nominations and 8 wins, so it was the big winner of the night. Wins in Best Picture. George Cukor does win in Best Director. Rex Harrison wins in Best Actor. And this is the other part of this too is My Fair Lady was in all like 3 of the 4 acting categories, basically, and just not in Best Actress. And I think that's even more egregious.
Yeah.
So Rex Harrison does win for his portrayal as Professor Higgins. So he wins again. This movie wins in art direction, parentheses, color, cinematography, costuming, scoring of music, and sound. And then it loses in supporting actor and supporting actress. So if you're curious, the dad, Alfred Doolittle, is nominated for supporting actor. And then Mrs. Higgins, his mom, is in the supporting actress. So she doesn't win, but queen. And then it loses in adapted screenplay and editing. So this is the last thing I want to mention about this Academy Awards. So this is the first year in which 3 films received 10 or more nominations. This will happen again at the 50th, the 92nd, and the 96th Academy Awards. It's also the only time in Oscar history that 3 films receive 12 or more nominations. So again, Beckett, My Fair Lady, Mary Poppins all had 12 and 13 nominations.
I hope there were only 5 notable films of the year.
Yeah, and it also says too that like the 5 directors in the Best Directing are the 5 directors of the 5 Best Picture nominees. And I guess that doesn't happen
Almost
often
ever.
either, where it perfectly lines up. So yeah, that was the 37th Academy Awards. And Audrey snubbed, but Julie recognized. And My Fair Lady takes it home anyways, not even Mary Poppins. So would have been interesting to watch this one, I think, in real time.
Yeah, I know. People were probably like so gagged when Julie Andrews wins. And then to see then Audrey Hepburn go up with the cast, I would assume, when they won Best Picture, it was like, people like for Hollywood playing up this drama, like people got a show,
Yeah, the greatest show.
And then oh my gosh. And then they made Audrey present Best Actor.
Right.
So it was like Hollywood's like, oh, we'll show you the drama.
Well, we've talked a lot about these stars, Carly, and so I'm curious which My Fair Lady stars you dug a little deeper on.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So first, Audrey Hepburn, of course. An icon, a star.
And not related to Katharine Hepburn, which is probably well known, but I didn't know.
Yeah. So yeah, Audrey and Katharine, not related. Even though I feel like people do associate, like you said. So yeah, so Audrey Hepburn famously has said that she never would have accepted this role if she knew they were going to dub her music. And pretty much all of it was dubbed by a singer who really just does singing vocals named Marnie Nixon. There was one song that Audrey does sing in, and it is Just You Wait. So we liked that song.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. I like that they kept her in there, and it's kind of ironic, right? Like, oh, we'll give you this song about how someday you'll be big and you're being stifled right now, and it's just kind of like the same thing that's happening to Audrey Hepburn at the time. But her big breakout was playing Gigi on Broadway. So we talked about that when we did Gigi, and again, it just all comes back to we wouldn't have appreciated that as much if if the Wheel hadn't already told us to do Gigi. So thank you,
Thanks,
Wheel. She only was in 16 films in her whole career, which I think because of how iconic she is, you would think it's more, but she really is more iconic just as like an image of like beauty and grace and all of this in the 60s. So she is an EGOT.
Wow, wow, wow.
She has how many EGOTs would you say there are, Bradley?
I know. I feel like lately we've been mentioning some people, like Viola Davis was one, and like I feel like it's only women. I feel like men. There are no male EGOTs.
Men, women, but there's a lot less than I thought there would be total.
Okay, I'm gonna guess 10.
Oh, it's more than that. Oh,
okay.
Oh.
Okay, 233.
Yes, you're close. It was 27.
God, you suck.
Audrey, though, was the 5th ever to be an EGOT.
Okay, wow.
And
that's awesome.
You almost feel like they did this on purpose, but she got her Emmy and her Grammy posthumously. She passed in 93 and she got the Emmy in 94 and the Grammy in 95. So you feel like there's probably an asterisk by it, but I mean, she still did get it for...
So she can sing.
She can sing. Well, actually, her Grammy is for like basically like a book on tape. It's like The Tales of Audrey Hepburn or something like that. So it was just her reading.
An audiobook. Got it. Okay, understood.
So yeah, so congrats to Audrey. I wonder if we will talk about her because she's in the Eve one.
Oh, All About Eve?
All About Eve. Yes, she is in All About Eve.
Awesome.
So we will talk about Audrey more. Sure, I'll dig up some more things on her. But yeah, and I also looked into Rex Harrison. He played Henry Higgins for 6 years on Broadway, the same amount of time
wow.
that Julie Andrews did. So you
Mhm.
can, there was a lot of chemistry, and everyone, Hollywood, made it seem like Rex really didn't like Audrey, but he came out and said, that's not true.
Hollywood hated Audrey. They wanted everybody
Right.
to hate her guts.
Right.
It's crazy.
And I guess in Rex's acceptance speech, he thanked his two fair ladies. And he said Audrey and Julie Andrews. So that's really sweet. And I feel like it was another way
Rex.
for Rex to be like, cut this shit, Hollywood,
Right.
He did win a Tony for his role as Henry Higgins as well. So the same role. I wonder how many people have won an Oscar for the same role on Broadway and in a movie. Probably not too many.
No, yeah.
But maybe I'll look into that someday. And this was the weirdest thing I found about Rex Higgins. So, sorry, Rex Harrison.
Hickory. Hickory.
Rex Hickering. So Rex Harrison, like I said, kind of made this like speaky, songy voice like popular with this film. And Seth MacFarlane, who is the creator of Family Guy, says that he, when he created the show, modeled Stewie Griffin, the baby, his voice off of Rex Harrison's voice. I know, it made me want to go back and watch the movie again and just look for like... And I guess he does.
Picture Stewie.
Yeah, I guess he does have kind of like a British tone, Stewie, and like I guess I could see that. But yeah, so next time you're watching Family Guy, just think about Henry Higgins a little bit. Really quick about Julie Andrews. So Julie Andrews to me seems a lot, they say like, I don't know, like Martin Luther King and Anne Frank were like born like the same year or something like that.
Right, yeah.
So Julie Andrews seems like a very like today actress. Like I know she's very old, but still like we saw her in Princess Diaries. Like she seems a lot more modern than Audrey Hepburn. And for them to have been like the same age is like just interesting to me.
Yeah, you're right.
And it made me think of... It was just the 20th anniversary of High School Musical. And I was like, wait. And my sister said that somebody said that High School Musical is as old to us as Grease was to our parents when we watched Grease. So, like, I don't know if you ever watched Grease, but you probably can't relate.
No,
but
never
like,
heard of it.
Grease came out in 1978. So, 20 years later, 1998, I know my parents showed us Grease at a young age. Like, we loved Grease. So that's like 20 years, 20 years old. To me, Grease is like an ancient movie that was like from so long ago. But like 20 years ago, like it was just 20 years earlier that my parents saw it in the theaters. So it's just like bizarre that, time and how and I know film has come a long way since then, and it's probably not as different like film wise, but I just wanted to bring that up because first, I love talking about High School Musical. Two, it's like Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn are like in the same time. You wonder if she would have lived past 63 or whatever, what she would be doing today.
Right.
Like, would she be in Princess Diaries instead of Julie Andrews? We will never know.
Maybe in High School Musical.
Maybe she would have been in High School Musical. Miss Darbus. We never know.
And her voice would have been dubbed over too.
You just never
It would have been a whole thing.
Yes. Okay, the last actor I did look into was Stanley Holloway, who played Mr. Doolittle, the dad. And the only thing interesting about him is he wrote an autobiography, and it's called With a Little Bit of Luck. That's the title of his autobiography.
Let it go, Stanley.
He's in a lot of things. He's like a big star, but
yeah.
I just thought that was very funny and kind of appropriate for an autobiography. Like, I think it's clever, Brad.
Okay. Carly.
So I did then look into Pygmalion a little bit because it's, based off of that story. As you said, in 1999, there was another movie, She's All That I thought of often. And I don't know if you've seen it, Brad. We might have talked about it. Not another teen movie.
No, but I know about the Chris Evans, like whipped cream. I have seen images of that.
A banana sticking out of his butt. Yeah. We should watch Not Another Teen Movie because it's hilarious.
Okay.
But Not Another Teen Movie, it's like a satire on teen movies.
Yeah.
And She's All That is like the main premise throughout that movie. So it made me think of that as well. But in Greek myth, so Pygmalion was a man, a Greek god. And he detested women. He got to a point where they said that he detested the faults that nature had given to women. He thought they were all harlots, and he just was at a point, he's like, you know what, I'm done. So he went home and he's like, I'm going to pick up sculpting. And he sculpted this perfect woman sculpture that was so perfect that he fell in love with it. So that's for this. And then he went to this thing with Aphrodite, and he asked Aphrodite to please make her a real woman. And Aphrodite did it, and they forever lived together and actually had a baby or something. But so that's like the Greek story. Yeah. So then the Pygmalion play, it actually had a character named Eliza Doolittle, and it was someone was training her to become a really good wife. So the story continues to be modernized, and it's cool to even see like She's All That was referenced in the Pygmalion Wikipedia page because it's like the next modern version of it, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of these like makeover stories and you just wonder what like the next one will be. Or I feel like every time I see it, I'll think of like, oh, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like all I have.
Thanks, Carly.
You're welcome.
All right. That was My Fair Lady. We did it.
We did it. What are we going to do next?
No, it's exciting, Carly. This is our 20th episode. We made it.
We made
to
it.
20. Can't believe it. And so I think we should make episode 20 the greatest show on earth, if you will.
Okay. And what are we going to talk about?
Our 20th episode is the greatest show on earth.
How ironic.
Wow, that was such a
Again,
coincidence.
the wheel knows.
The wheel knows. So, yeah, this is 1952. So we're going to travel back in time. And this seems about some circus stuff. So
I can't wait. I think we're going to love the shit out of this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's right there in the title. It's got to be
The
greatest.
greatest
So,
show on earth.
so we'll find out for ourselves next time on The Better Half.
Next time on The Better Half. Okay, Brad, I love you.
Love you too, Carly.
Bye.